Oh my gosh, friends, welcome back. It is, I think it's day 6 of our Christmas cookie marathon, our 12 days of Christmas cookies and treats. And speaking of treats, boy, do I have one for you today. Today we're gonna make French Palmiers. And though it sounds super fancy, it's really, really easy. And I think you're gonna love how simple this recipe is and how crispy and buttery these cookies are. Oh my goodness. Starts with some shortcuts. So here's what we're gonna need for the recipe. We're gonna use puff pastry. The filling on these Palmiers are cinnamon and sugar, so we need cinnamon and sugar. We have a 1/4 cup of sugar and a tablespoon of cinnamon. We're gonna need some melted butter. I have some flour so I can dust my cutting board here. A spoon just to mix together this cinnamon sugar, a brush to brush on the butter, and a knife to cut the cookies. So this, you're not gonna believe how simple this is. So let me show you how it's done. Before I go though, real quick, I have my oven preheated to 400 degrees. I have my big cookie sheet. I have a Silpat down. I like the way these come out with a Silpat. You could also use parchment paper as well if you have that. And it's all we're gonna need for this recipe. Let me get ready to go and I'll be right back. Okay, so let's start off by, we're gonna lightly flour my board here just to make sure the puff pastry is easy to roll out. And you wanna work fairly quickly with this. It's basically layers of butter in the dough. And so when it warms up, it just doesn't puff quite as much. So we're gonna work quickly here. If you're not familiar with puff pastry, you can find that in the freezer section at the store. Perfect, and you see it just unfolds. A little bit of butter on it. I love how easy this recipe is though. It's like silly easy. Okay. We're gonna need some cinnamon and sugar like I had mentioned. I'm just gonna prep that. In goes that 1/4 cup of sugar and a tablespoon of cinnamon. And if you don't get all the ingredients, don't worry. I got you. They're gonna be all below in the instructions below. So we're just gonna mix that together really quick. And that's ready to go. And you could do these a couple of ways. It's kind of a fun little recipe. First thing though we're gonna do is we're gonna brush it with our melted butter. And we wanna brush it all the way to the edges. Because we want the cinnamon to stick. These are actually probably one of my favorite Christmas cookies. They're best made the day of, because they're super, super crispy, but I've successfully kept them like on the counter. Don't refrigerate them, they'll get soggy, but keep them on the counter in a airtight container separated by parchment paper. You'll be fine. So now, all we need to do is sprinkle the cinnamon sugar over the top. And I'm fairly generous with the cinnamon sugar because I want it to have lots of flavor. And I'm gonna have a mess to clean up when I'm done. I can tell that right now. All right. See how easy, you can do this now. What I was saying, you could do this a couple of different ways. We want to pick the middle and roll. We could do this, we could roll or we could fold the pastry. Or we could roll it. Today I'm gonna I'll roll one and then I'll fold the other. So that looks like about halfway. Now I'm just gonna go to the other side and roll until they come together. And then I'm just gonna pinch it kind of tight. See? Pretty simple, huh? And now, I'm just gonna kind of firm that up a little bit. And I'm gonna pick about halfway, and halfway again. This should make 12 to 14 cookies. So I always think it's easier once it's cut in half. So, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should be just right. Okay. So there's one cookie. And it's gonna look, I'll show you the cookie sheet when I'm done. It's gonna look like, oh my gosh, there's all kinds of room on that cookie sheet. But these seriously expand. It's puff pastry, so they really puff up nicely. So here we go. Just laying them out on my cookie sheet. And that cookie sheet's gonna keep it from sticking the Silpat on the cookie sheet. There we go, okay. So we got half done with our cookies, and I don't think I can pretty much eyeball this. What I like about this, your bacon cookies, the whole house is gonna smell amazing. But boy, talk about minimal effort. So if you have littles coming over and they're worried because they don't have any cookies for Santa, this is a great thing to have. Okay. Just like that. Was that simple or what? Okay, so we're gonna bake them in the oven at 400 degrees. Halfway through, we're gonna take them out and flip them over and bake the other side so they get super crispy. Hang tight, I'll show you what they look like after the first baking. I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so while the first set is baking, I'm gonna get started on the second set. And just to, I think I neglected to say, but the first bake of the cookies is about 8 minutes. We're gonna take it out, we're gonna flip them, and then bake them again for about 4 more minutes. So it takes about 12 minutes total for the recipe. All right, now we're gonna do our second one, and I'll show you another way to kind of prepare that. Okay, back with the butter. Kind of solidified a little bit, but you know what? That's gonna be okay. As long as we can get that cinnamon sugar to stick, that's the important thing. And you know, oftentimes, especially this time of year when people are maybe baking that don't normally bake, they're using their oven a little bit more, and they're like, man, these cookies took a lot more than 12 minutes to bake. There's a good chance, I'm not saying that's true, but there's a good chance that your oven temperature could be off. And you can tell that if you have a thermometer inside your oven to kind of keep track of that heat, so you know if it, you know, when you turn it on 400, if it actually gets to be 400. It might be something you consider if you find out things are taking longer than normal or taking less time than what the recipe calls for. Just something to look at. And you know, if so, you could always get that repaired. All right, so our second sheet is done. And you know what, and I'm just gonna press a little bit of that cinnamon sugar in. I had mentioned there's a couple different ways to do it. One way is to roll up each side together, and another way is to fold it. So there I folded 2 sides in, and I'm gonna fold another 2 sides in, and then fold it over again. What I like about this one is if you're making them for Christmas or for Valentine's Day, they always look like little hearts. I think it looks kind of cool. So again, we're going to cut these. And you want to cut them no more than a 1/2 inch thick. So that's what we're doing here. And that'll help them just puff up so nicely. And I don't have 2 Silpats. So I'm gonna get my other cookie sheet out and just line it with parchment paper. So hang tight for a minute. Okay, so that was fast. So now what I'm gonna do with these, I'm gonna make sure I pinch the bottom because I want the bottom to stay together and the rest of it can just puff up nicely. And again, just laying them out on our cookie sheet, pinching the bottom together. Some of the cinnamon sugar might fall out as you go, but don't worry about it. That's gonna be just fine. It's days like this that I miss having the double ovens that I had on my in my kitchen in Fresno, because that came in awfully handy. And see, isn't this an amazing way to easily make 24 cookies? Actually, I think I ended up with 26 here, but these will be ready to go in the oven. I'm gonna keep an eye on this. Looks like we have about 2 more minutes before we're ready for that first flip. And I'm gonna clean up my workspace and we'll be checking out these cookies in just a minute. Thanks. All right, so comparative size, you can see where they're beginning to puff a little bit. See the difference in the size? So what we're gonna do now is flip these over. There we go. It is super hot. But you can tell they're already like light as a feather. I have also, when you click through to the blog, you'll also see, I'll sprinkle them sometimes with colored sugar, you know, like holiday sugar, red, white, whatever, red, green. And it makes them super pretty and real festive. Back in the oven this goes for another 4 minutes. And we'll let them bake until it's golden brown. Be back in a few. Hey guys, so check that out. Isn't that the most golden, buttery goodness you've ever seen? Oh, these are so good and so simple. See if I can get these out of the pan. And you know what? I was incorrect in how I remembered it. I like them using the parchment paper. It just makes them a little crispier in the end. I think they puff better too. See the difference? They just get a little more golden brown, and I love that. And I like folding them as opposed to rolling them too. Just, you know, do whatever works for you. But I think the traditional way is rolling them. But the folding them over, I like the little hearts. Yum. Can't wait till these cool off so I can try one. Perfect. Now I've learned, not much over the years, but one thing I've learned is let these cool. I'll be right back. We'll build our cookie tray and I'll see you in a minute. So yum, yum, yum. Don't these look amazing? The house smells amazing too. It has that whole cinnamony thing going on, and I love that. Perfect for the holidays. So another thing I was gonna show you, I bought a bunch of trays. I had mentioned that, I think, in our first video that we did. And rather than gifts this year, I was making homemade gifts. And this was one of them that I got. I just thought it was beautiful. It was actually a set of 2, and I think it was $29 for 2. But I thought, isn't that perfect? So now, you know, a $10 gift, maybe 20 total when you add in the ingredients, maybe. Probably not, probably more like 15. But what a lovely gift that would be. So my cookies are cooled. I'm gonna pile them on my cookie tray. I have a friend in mind to take these to. So I'm just gonna cover it. If you had some pretty wrapping, that would be especially beautiful to take them that way. But just how easy. What a great gift. But you know, it's not over until we try it, right? It's hard to believe that something so simple could be so buttery and so good and so easy to make. I think you're gonna love these. I'm gonna save this one for later. I'm gonna wrap that up, take it to my friends, and I just wanna wish you a wonderful day. I hope your holiday prep is going amazing. Don't forget, when you have a quick moment, stop by the blog. It's www.pullmeover.com. We're doing the 12 days of Christmas. I think we're on day 6, could be day 5, not really sure. I think I've been doing a lot of these videos. And we're gonna go all the way through to 12 days. So if you're looking for a great treat, doesn't have to be the holidays for this one. It's just so simple. You enjoy, okay? Thanks for watching. I appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.